Hi guys, welcome back to The Hard Line. I'm Lucy and I'm here today with my 4 guests, all of which, I have to be honest, have played a very, very small part in my rugby journey and are very, very personal to me. Joining me today is Brie Hill from the Beckenham Rugby Club. She's a women's head coach. I actually played my first ever game with Brie. She allowed an absolute rookie to go on the field that had never played rugby before, and I have to say, supported me through the whole game, and at the end came over and gave me the sweetest tap on the shoulder and said, "It's okay, it gets better." So thank you for that. I'm also joined by 3 guests from Beck Bells, which is a club I play for. So I've got a bit of a variety for you. I've got Matt Barraclef, who's our forwards coach for the Bells. He's also currently playing for the men's first team. So this is his sort of slow introduction. I hope a good introduction into women's coaching. So thank you. Rachel Evans, who joined the Bells at a very, very similar time to me, and having played pretty much a similar amount of rugby, I think. And both of us, unfortunately, picking it up in our early 30s. And Millie Rice, who's joined us also from the Bells backs, not the forwards, who has a fair bit of experience having played at Loughborough University. So thank you for joining me. We are returning to rugby, which we're all very, very happy about. Matt, how do you think that the return's going to look like for the Bells over the next couple of months?
So we essentially, going back into it, we've got pretty much 3 full sessions before we get into games. So we've got 3 weeks of full team training, and then we're into our first game. So that's going to be, for a lot of our girls, their first taste of rugby ever. So in terms of the return to training for us, it's going to be essentially a kind of whistle-stop tour of rugby to an extent. So we had a little bit of a chat as coaches the other day, and the plans for us is essentially get a basic attack sorted, basic defence sorted, and then also use this as a time to just really increase people's contact confidence and technique as well. And then, into 2 matches. So we've got matches on the 2nd of May and the 15th of May. And that for us is just going to be a really, really good opportunity to give people a taste of rugby for the first time. I'm sure everyone's been going through it during lockdown. It's are you going to be back? Are you not going to be back? People that have never played the game before just really want to get stuck into it. So for us, we've got the 2nd and the 15th of May. That's our kind of zenith for us of this season. And really looking forward to getting stuck into that.
And that's quite a short period of time as well. Have you adapted the training for us moving forward? I noticed the other day there's a few extra sessions that have popped up.
Yeah, so we obviously have, for those of you who don't know, basically we train as a club on a Monday night. So that's skills and fitness-based stuff. And then the girls, so the Bells, we train on a Thursday night. So what we're going to try and do is maybe get a couple of sessions in where it's just the Bells, potentially on a Monday, but also on Tuesday the 13th of April, we're going to get a session in there as well. But in terms of the actual session structure, it's just going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit less time probably spent transitioning between what we're doing, and just a lot more time spent actually focusing on what does a match look like and how do we get people ready for playing a game. So probably less of our skill development type training and more match focused stuff. Key focus, which is going to be really interesting and quite amusing, I would imagine, for a lot of people, is trying to sort a line out, which is going to be entertaining for us as coaches, but also hopefully for you as players as well. First of all, just getting you confident, lifting each other off the floor and trying not to drop your mates on the head, hopefully.
Yeah, don't worry, Rachel, I've got you. Brie, with Beckenham being sort of slightly higher standard to us in the Bells, obviously you guys have got a bit more experience, so that kind of transitioning into starting playing games again is slightly different. What does the return look like for you guys?
Yeah, so from the 1st of April, we've got a club ready for rugby tournament that we play mixed with the men's first and second team. So we do that every Thursday, and then some games are on the Saturday as well to get people down the club and having a look at that as well. Then we are back into training from the 6th of April. So every Tuesday and every Thursday we train 7:30 till 9. Tuesdays is more like fitness, conditioning, those kind of things. And on the Thursday, we do set play, run them through the new laws. Obviously, there's not going to be any mauls and no scrums. So just trying to teach the forwards what they can and can't do because they really want to do the mauls and the scrums. So yeah, it's just more the technical kind of stuff on the Thursdays. And then we've got in May, we've got a game every weekend. So we've got 2 10s tournaments that we're lining up. I'll be sending information over to you shortly, actually. And we've got the under 16 and the under 18 Beckenham girls. We're going to have a little touch tournament with them as well.
Nice.
They're always coming down, running water for us, and they really want to aspire to play for the ladies when they get older. So we have a little game with them just so they can see where it is that they could get to if they train hard.
Was there ever because I've heard it certainly from a few clubs where there was a little bit of, should we go back, should we not go back, given the timing and such a short time into pre-season? Was there ever a question that you were ever going to return, or was it always, yes, we are?
Yeah, 100%. The question was there. We just sat down with the coaches and just thought, what is best for the ladies? We've got 16 new players this year that have never played rugby or never done contact before. So we had to kind of put their interests ahead of everything else and try and entice them to come back to the game. So we thought games is what we need to do, as we don't want to lose those people just because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And Matt, our journey's been slightly different to Beckenham because we're fairly new without a league behind us. Has the kind of plan changed for what that looks like in getting us into a league after having this year off?
No, it hasn't really. So our plans for the Inner Warrior League still remain the same for next year. We had probably a similar sort of thought process to Brie. In the sense that games are the best way of allowing people to develop. And we're really fortunate that Ryan, one of the coaches, does a lot of work behind the scenes, and he managed to get us our 2 fixtures. And what we really wanted was to allow people a chance to play this year, and then use that as, for us as coaches, a way to see where are our areas for development over the summer, because we are going to be running sessions each week over the summer for those that want to attend. And then also kind of when we start pre-season next year, when we know we're going into a league and we know we're going to have a set block of fixtures, what kind of things do we need to work on? So getting fixtures this side of summer was really important for us. But just back to your question, no, our plans for the league next year remain the same with the Inner Warrior League. So looking forward to that.
Fantastic. So from a player's perspective, Millie, the lockdowns had quite a bit of an impact to all of us. Some of us have been training, some of us haven't, some of us have been doing weird and wonderful things. Do you think that the lockdown has changed your feelings about rugby and possibly your goals moving forward?
Has it changed? I don't know whether it's changed my feelings as such. I think it's definitely made them stronger. I think absence makes the heart go stronger, right? Like, honestly, it's been difficult. I don't know whether it's, the sport, obviously going back, previous lockdown, there wasn't even rugby to watch happening. I think this lockdown, it's been great that there's been, the women's premiership has carried on. We've had rugby to watch, obviously Six Nations going on. But yeah, not playing, it's just, you miss the people, you miss, there's so many benefits of rugby that you can't get, even, doing the training at home or going out by yourself on the runs. It's just, I'm sure everyone's aware that it's just very different. And yeah, just really looking forward to getting back, to be honest.
Cool. I know Rach and I have had many conversations via text message and in person about our feelings about returning to rugby. You feel slightly the same as well, don't you, Rach? You've got a feeling kind of that wanting to be back on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely kind of echo what Millie just said. It's the benefits of playing in a team are just phenomenal. And just being able to sort of, even for sort of rookie, beginners like myself, just being able to sort of learn some new skills, meet some new people as well. It's just been such a nice experience with what we did last summer. And I think it's really good that we are taking that approach this summer, that we're not going to just wait until the season begins next year, because we're all just dying to get out there on the pitch or on the common, just to throw a ball about and just practice some skills and get our fitness back up.
I know my own personal feelings about Ready for Rugby, and I think I've been quite vocal about them, especially being a forward, and how the play has adapted and possibly suits many more of the backs than the forwards. Do you, Rach, just pointing this at you, do you think there's a possibility that through the restrictions in the phase play, that there's possibly a silver lining to it, where there's probably an opportunity that a new evolution of a new game can evolve for women that want to get involved, that potentially don't want that contact element to it?
Absolutely, and I think it's definitely good to have that middle ground where your fitness needs to get up, so you're doing a bit more running, so you're kind of meeting the backs in that way. But yeah, you're absolutely right, especially for sort of my age, where injuries do happen. It has happened, and kind of having that sort of meet in the middle, I guess. It's been good to kind of ease ourselves into it.
Yeah, Brie, have you seen, because I know Beckenham have held quite a few Ready for Rugby tournaments, have you seen the uptake and the availability of players far higher with the Ready for Rugby than you have, say, with Contact?
We have a split crowd, I think. So a lot of the forwards struggled with the first version of the Ready for Rugby, obviously because they struggled to keep up, as you said, the backs. It's more a fast-paced game, so they struggled with the first version of it. But as soon as the rules came in, that when you got touched, you could go to ground like you would in a normal game, I think they found their place a bit better because they felt like it was more a game. But they really enjoyed it because it lets them be able to kick as well. So normally in a game, you wouldn't normally see the forwards kicking. Well, I don't know in your games, but in our games, the forwards wouldn't really be having a kick through or a chip and chase. But in this game, it allows them to have a go at those skills. So yeah, they've really enjoyed it. They're looking forward to the contact, but they have enjoyed it in the meantime.
Cool. Do you think that the temporary rule adaptations will affect play and selection? I guess coaches aimed at you. Do you think it will change how you select teams moving forward?
Yeah, we spoke about this yesterday, actually. I had a coaches meeting with my other two coaches, and I'm interested to see what people will do if they're going to get rid of those front three prop hooker style players and put in the faster players, or if they're going to keep the shape so that when rugby does, and hopefully it will, go back to its former glory of the scrums and the mauls, then those players won't be out of shape and they'll still be in the game. So we will be looking to still use them. We may be using them in different positions and they may be doing a lot more running than they're willing to do, but we will definitely still be trying to keep them in the game because rugby's for everyone. So we need to keep them all.
Matt, do you have the same differing opinion?
So we haven't technically discussed it as coaches, but my personal opinion of it is very similar to what Bree's just said at the end there, that one of the best things about rugby is that anyone can play it. Like, I come from a family where, like, my dad is relatively big bloke and he still played rugby for a load of years, and I'm a relatively smaller bloke and I'm hopefully will play rugby for plenty of years. So different sized people can affect the game in any way that they want to do. And I think knowing that we're going to be returning back to rugby as normal next season, to me, it wouldn't be any benefit to our players to kind of pick a team with, let's say, 3 back rows in the front row. You're doing, in my mind, we would be disadvantaging the people who will be playing those positions next year. And if anything, you'll be giving the back rows who you'd maybe then put in that position a false sense of what the actual game's like, because it wouldn't necessarily represent what rugby's like. So from my perspective, I think we would pick a team that we would expect if there's scrums, mauls, and the game would play as normal.
Rach, I know we sort of haven't really discovered positions as a team yet, and that's certainly something that we've been thinking about, but I know that you yourself have played in the front row before. How do you feel about the possibility of being left on the bench?
Fine. No, I'm kidding. No, it's, I guess the adaptation that we need to go forward with. But yeah, I guess in a way it kind of drives you a little bit more to get that little bit fitter to keep up. So I think there'll be benefits in that way. So you've got the people that are used to doing the front row and have that skill, but what might happen is that their fitness level might increase a bit, which can really be beneficial.
Absolutely. Millie, as a back, do you think there's a bit of an added pressure for you guys to kind of take us forwards under your wing and getting us fit and healthy again?
I kind of ship that onto the coaches. They can do that. No, I think it's like, even as a back, like obviously the Ready for Rugby rules are great for backs generally. Like, it's a faster game, isn't it? But I miss the contact. Like, I think we would be disadvantaging ourselves, like everyone's said pretty much, like by taking out those prop hooker positions. I think I just don't think that's a good idea. Like, you can learn so much. Like, obviously we all want the game to be back to normal as soon as possible, but let's use the time we've got with these rules. We can still be learning like our shapes. We need all our players to be learning that. Like, you know, there's going to be advantages to better fitness for everyone. So like, let's keep it for everyone, you know.
Absolutely. Is that the silver lining? Is the kind of outcome to all of this and the benefit to all of this that actually we're probably going to end up with a much more stronger, fitter, conditioned team than we have probably in previous seasons? But Brie, I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
Yeah, no, I think it's as the guys have said, the game is evolving. So you've got hookers that can run as fast as your centres these days. So yeah, 100% think we'll still have all different shapes and sizes, because that's never going to change. But I do think that the positions will become fitter, they will become quicker, and they will become more ball players than just the standard, you do this and that's the box that you fit in.
Mm-hmm. Matt, what's the challenges you think you're going to face as a coach with the following season as a result of COVID?
As in the start of next season? I would say probably player retention, potentially. We're fortunate with our club, we get really good numbers down, but I think having had that kind of in-out, maybe not having any games, some people might not be able to play in May, they might be away or have other commitments. I feel like having such a long period of time between, let's say, just taking up the sport and being able to actually play it, we may start to see people drop out and maybe see a drop in numbers. But from a gameplay point of view, I actually would probably flip that on its head. I'm probably not, I don't have any concerns at all. Is that I actually think it's, especially for our club, I think it's a really exciting time because we have a really good blend of inexperience to experience. So being able to have a full season under our belts, from my point of view as a coach, is actually a really exciting time. Obviously, there's certain things that could and may go wrong, but yeah, I think, as I've said before, just really looking forward to getting back at it.
Fantastic. And staying on challenges whilst we're here, I know Beckenham have not just a women's team, they have quite a few teams, and you've mentioned and highlighted that you've got the juniors as well. How's this going to affect the minis and the juniors that you have at your club as well? Because that takes a little bit more kind of organisation than us lot.
Yeah, that's something we spoke about in our committee meeting on Monday, what we can do. Obviously, there's a lot of parents worried about safety, worried about bubbles, groups, all that kind of thing. So we're just in chats with the RFU to see what their stages are that they're planning. Obviously, we've got the roadmap, which we go along with, and we've got safety rules that Beckenham have put in place so that people come to training ready. They have sanitizers and water bottles, and we have people who are looking out to like wash the balls and etc. But from all accounts, the juniors are quite keen, and if not so, their parents are keen to get them out of the house. So I think they're going to be raring to go, and I think it will be good. It'll be good to see everyone back out there.
Yeah, I think it will, and I know all of us are certainly enjoying getting back out there and the possibility of actually seeing other people, which is quite exciting. But Rachel, whilst I've got you here, you've been doing quite a lot of our recruitment recently, so you've had the wonderful experience of dealing with many people who are calling and asking weird and wonderful questions. What's recruitment going to look like in the next couple of months for the Bells that maybe is adapted slightly differently to how we would have done it before?
So I guess throughout the summer, the emphasis will just be on team building. I think it's a lot more, rather than come and join us to play, it's a lot more come down and give it a try, because we're at a stage now where we can start from the bottom, get our fitness back up, get the skills level back up, and just meet new people. And I think there'll be less pressure throughout the summer. I think we've got a few games, obviously it won't be full contact either, so people won't be so scared off. So I think that will be beneficial for us.
And do you think that having those sessions, and I know Matt touched on it earlier, having the sessions a bit similar, very similar to what we did last summer really on the Common, which was a mixture of learning the basics. Do you think that by doing that, a lot more women and girls will be less intimidated to try rugby this year?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think that's the beauty. That's what I really like about this club, is that we do take things back to basics. So there's people that might be a bit scared off, or come to a session and think, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to not go again. I think with us doing that and concentrating on just making sure that the basics are covered, definitely it is a really good retention tool.
Mm-hmm. Are Beckenham going through a big recruitment campaign, or do you feel that you're at a point where you just need to finish this season and get into next?
Yeah, we're always welcoming to anyone who wants to come along. We've got flyers and stuff that we put out. We're trying to be more active on social media. So we've got Amy on there. She's doing a really good job, just keeping everyone up to date with what it is that we're doing. But I think for the end of the season, I think we're just going to try and get some game time for the ladies, introduce those ones that haven't had that rugby time before, and then reset for the next season, have a big a pre-season, and then get a big drive going as well. So yeah,
cool. Whilst we're on the topic pre-season, that horrible phrase that we all love, Matt, what does pre-season look like for the Bells?
Probably a lot of running, I would imagine. No. In terms of an actual set structure, we've yet to finalise that as of yet. But from a coaching perspective, it's going to be, I think, as Rachel's touched on, a lot of time spent on skill development, a lot of time spent, unfortunately for you guys, coughing a lung up on Clapham Common, I would imagine, and a chance for everyone to start building those bonds as a team again. So, as I've said, we've got maybe a month and a half, 2 months now, but then at the start of next season, it is fully into a full pre-season into the season. We're going to try and get a few games in as well, give everyone a chance to play, give everyone exposure to rugby if they haven't had a chance to play so far this season, and then go from there. But for us, well, for me personally, kind of taking it as a kind of 18-month progression rather than anything else. So want to see where we're going to be at the end of next season rather than at the start of next season, because I think, as we've touched on, the best way to learn is to play. So where we will be next year will be players will be a completely different animal then. So it's all about seeing how we develop throughout the season.
Absolutely. And I think if something that I actually watched the other day, which was quite a telling point, which is making sure that every session people leave happy. And if you can achieve that, then regardless of what the session involves or what's happening, then everyone's satisfied and you've got a good team behind you. I wanted to just briefly touch on something, Millie, I'll come to you, is about how the kind of lockdown has impacted you personally from a sort of mental health perspective. I know quite a lot of people have either spent the lockdown either alone or not seeing very many family members. Has it affected you much? Do you kind of now at this time, and I know you mentioned it at the start, rugby is quite a big part of your lifestyle. How important was rugby, and how important has your keeping your mental health up through lockdown been to you?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, massive. Like, it's obviously insanely important. I think everyone would be lying if they said that lockdown hadn't affected them in some way. Like, it is a crazy situation that literally no one could have imagined this time last year, or when, just before. But yeah, it's just, I think especially for me, I moved down to London last September, so was just sort of getting into rugby, like came along to the Bells, was meeting a few people, like felt like I was making some friends, and then obviously like lockdown, not ideal. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, because then you have obviously the whole thing of actually it's just quite lonely. Like, I'm very lucky that I live with my sister and also another housemate, and it's great, like we all get along very well. And obviously my sister as well plays, so we've been able to like go out, throw a ball around, we go on runs together, so we sort of keep each other motivated. But the thing is as well as like obviously it is isolating, being in a lockdown. Motivation as well to like get out and do exercise and try and keep some level of fitness. Oh my word, I find it so difficult. I am not someone who would go out by myself. Like, that is why I do a team sport, because I like going to training and I like other people being there, and you know, you're told what to do by a coach and you do it. That's great, that works for me. So not having that was definitely difficult. But obviously, like, there was lots of other stuff going on. I don't know if you're going to speak about that at some point, like the sort of training that we did throughout lockdown, that sort of thing. But that was obviously great, having something to work towards, something, you know, feeling part of something again was good.
Absolutely, and quite rightly you mention it, is, you know, through our time through lockdown, what we've managed to do is spend many Thursday nights on a Zoom, whether it's talking about skills or it's running through a weird and wonderful workout that someone's put on for 20 minutes. But I know Beckenham have done a lot online as well. How have you found the Zooms being important to sort of keeping the team together through lockdown, Brie?
Yeah, I think the Zoom's been very influential for us. A lot of the ladies had messaged me privately, kind of in the middle of lockdown, and said they didn't really feel like they wanted to come to the sessions. They were a little bit down, and some people were struggling with, obviously, the lockdown and COVID itself. So we've been changing it up a little bit. Every Tuesday we do the sessions, so 20, 30 minutes. A few weeks ago, everybody dressed up. So everyone wore whatever they had around their house that they could find. So that was interesting. We had a 4-week challenge where every day we encouraged the teams to do some form of exercise, and that exercise would get their team a point. And the team at the end that had the most points would win a little party supplied by us. So we'll send them some alcohol, and we had a little quiz to finish that up. So it's been really good. The people said they've felt a lot better with that challenge. And some of the teams are actually still doing the challenge, even though it's finished, because they can just jump in the message. They can say, I don't feel so good today. And because our team isn't really a team, it's a family. So everyone's there for each other, and they help them pick them back up. And it's been really good for us.
Absolutely. And I know from our side, having that kind of release on a Thursday where we can, and often I know Matt sat on many of the Zooms where we're all chit-chatting in the background, but it's been super important for all of us to stay together. I'm going to round off the podcast with all the bit that you all wanted and you all hated at the same time, which is your Grassroots Rugby hero. So considering Rachel spent most of today thinking about it, I think
So I'm gonna say my grandfather, because when I was younger he used to take me to watch Wales a lot. So we'd go down to Cardiff and he'd buy me the Welsh jersey, and we'd get our face painted, and I think it would go back to that.
And Millie?
I don't know. I mean, there's lots of family members that I could say who have definitely encouraged me with rugby. But I'm actually going to go with my coach from uni. She was a student herself and volunteered her time to do it, and she was amazing, like really, really amazing. So yeah, I'm going to go with her. Fantastic. Do I need to say her name as well?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone want. Okay, it's Neve McHugh. But
Neve, you're great. You're loved.
Yeah. Woo.
Matt?
I've gone for a bit of a cop-out. I'm going to go for a group. So I'm going to pick referees, mainly because I think in my playing time I've given them enough grief. So I should probably at least try and give them some kudos where it's due. But it's just one of my earliest coaches. One thing that they said that always stuck with me was that if you don't have a referee, you don't have a game. So referees that come in the men's and the women's game all the way down in the lowest tier, give up their Saturday afternoons to referee games. Maybe get a pint afterwards, but get absolutely harangued for 80 minutes on a Saturday is something to be admired, and maybe something I'll go into when I've given up playing. But.
Fantastic. And Brie, lastly.
I got two. Obviously, I'm Australian, so when I was in Australia, Jo Thomas, she's the hardest hitting, fittest she's going to kill me mum that is the oldest in the team that I've ever met. She even played through a punctured lung when we were at nationals. So she, like, her work ethic and her love for the game was amazing. Obviously, been in England for a few years now. My driving force is my nephew. So little Brax, he always messages me to ask me how many goals I kicked. I don't think he gets it. It's not goals, but that's okay. And how many tackles we made. So, yeah, he's always there cheering for us all the way from Australia. So he's the one that keeps me going.
Fantastic. Thank you all for joining me this evening on the podcast. I know that the return is going to bring many of us back together, which we're all excited about. And the next few months is certainly going to be interesting, given it's going to be a slightly different shape to the norm. And many of us, I'm sure, included, well, mostly me, are going to be sat with my head in my hands wondering what the hell I'm doing. But guys, you can join us in 2 weeks where I'll have more guests talking all things women's rugby. And by that point, we'll be back. So please do keep an eye out for us live in 2 weeks' time, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.